I've got to tell you right here and now, the finish on this is fantastic, and the drivers have actually said the aerodynamic downforce is improving the drivability of these cars. As we know, available on these 600 vehicles in road form, which really improves the appearance of it, and more importantly, the overall handling.
Welcome back to Wakefield Motorsport Park in Goulburn for the DVE Challenge Series. And if you think the cars look a little bit different, you're right. The Silhouette 600R Lanoses are ready to fire, and they've got the new spoilers and wing on the back, Luffy, and they look fine.
They sure do. Very aerodynamic package. In fact, there's going to be 600 of these kits sold out in the marketplace. So I suppose if people want to have their car looking go fast like these little DVE rocket ships, well, there they are. Well, the starter, they're under starter's orders at the moment. The revs are building up indeed. The man on the pole position on the inside is Tim Toth, and beside him the action man, Lewis Chan, who has done an absolute blinder to get that car up on the front of the grid.
Boy, Lewis must have been driving around with his hair on fire. He had not the best of form in the preliminary round, which we saw here in the wet, but in the dry, he's super quick, and I guess it's the new spoiler that makes him a little quicker. Watch for the flag, it'll come up when it goes down, they're underway. Bad start there from Toth. I think he hesitated. You can see the guy in the second row there, number 55, that's Dean Oven. He's made a great start coming up inside. We go on board now, the 66 of Giannis Derhams in the Maxi Steel machine, starting to charge down to this first turn.
Well, look at this, little DVE rocket ship, signage all over the place as they hook into the first part of Wakefield Park. Now, this racetrack down here in Goulburn in New South Wales is a brilliant little circuit. It's got lots of fast bits, it's got some tight corners. In fact, it's got a real mixture, and it suits these little cars absolutely brilliantly. Look at them there, almost leaning on each other. You can see cars almost wanting to almost trying to trade paintwork. Come on, Luffy, get your mouth around. I'm getting excited watching this. So look at this. This is up at the top part of the circuit where they come now down through an incredibly fast right-hand sweeper, then a very tight left into the hairpin. And this is where the cars get all out of shape. You can see them trail braking down into the tight part. We've got Toth in the front part, and Toth is absolutely streaking it at the moment. And I saw a flash of one of the blinkers on one of the cars there. I think they're only kidding themselves, probably bumped the blinker stalk.
Yeah, Dean Oven there just flicked it on, and Toth gave those GT radials an absolute punishment down there. Bit of understeer, and the GTs would have stood the pressure, no problem at all. Hard on the brakes, this corner really pinches off, and I think he's pushed it in hot. Lost a bit of time there. Speaking of pushing it in hot, Lewis Chan, the action man, uses all the racetrack and then some.
Well, that's allowed Buttrose. Now, Buttrose is a new competitor that's come aboard with the DVE Challenge. He raced very successfully in the Suzuki One-Make Series, and he's made the transition, and he said he likes the series because the cars are very evenly matched. And look at this. He's hanging out Chan, but Chan's going with him all the way. But, Rallycross, the action man, we said before. But I'll tell you what, that Lewis Chan has brought his fan club down here, all four of them, but they're making so much noise on the hill, we can hear them in the background screaming and carrying on, and he's a very, very enthusiastic competitor.
Well, he said at last round he wanted to be like Hakkinen, and I guess leaving the track, is that Hakkinen style or what?
Well, it probably is a little bit, Nathan, and we've got, once again, we've got the action man, Chan, on screen. You can see him pitching this car in, and we've been actually talking to a lot of the drivers in between, and they're having an absolute ball, as we've said before, for $15,000. I mean, any of the Speed Week viewers sitting back there watching saying, how do you get into racing? Well, this could be what you could do. They supply the car with this lovely new Silhouette 600 body kit, which has got the air dam on the front with the big checker plate to let the air through to the radiator. And it's got the biggest wing I've seen on the back. And the guys have said actually...
Welcome to Oran Park Raceway in Sydney for the DVE Challenge Series. Previously, these cars have raced at Wakefield, but Luffy, a big field and a new racetrack.
Well, that's true, and on pole position, we've got the 55 car of Dean Oven. Beside him, Tim Toth. Second row, Shane Walke, and in the action man, Lewis Chan.
Then it's Giannis Derhams, Peter Floyd, Richard Buttrose a long way back, and John Lustry.
Then we've got John Vodapic, David Jolliffe, Damien Durenovic, Philip Dodd, Glenn Douglas, and in 14th position, Peter Foote. The revs are building up, Nathan. I'll tell you what, the first corner should be great.
Certainly should be. It pinches to a left-hander, and obviously they get a fair bit of straight before they get to that first corner. Great start from Oven there, closest to the screen, and he has certainly been pretty consistent in the DVE series. The most consistent runner, though, has got to be said, has been Tim Toth. We go on board now with Richard Buttrose in the number 13 machine. He is starting to fight his way back through the field. He didn't qualify that well, and it's so tight, these cars are so even. A good qualifying position is really what you need.
Well, the turning point of this corner is very critical, otherwise the cars get a bit offline. And Oran Park, as we know, is incredibly undulating, which suits the suspension. If the car's working well, you've got the speed, you've got the cornering, and that's what it's all about. But the man out in front, Mean Dean Oven, he's doing a great job. And you can see the car back on board with Richard Buttrose in the Steve Jarvin sponsored car. He's just picked up some new sponsorship, which makes him very happy and helped to offset some of the bills. Well, have a look at coffee corner. The car's really dipped dramatically, and it's critical that it come through where Lewis Chan, the action man, is getting it right. The line here carries the speed over the O'Brien dog leg. So everything's all about getting the rhythm, getting it working, and Dean Oven is doing a sensational job out in front.
Yeah, there's Lewis Chan, the number 18, and he really is doing a good job. Back on board.
Drive a lot better than the GTIs I used to race in 1995.
Second race of the day for the DVE Challenge Series heads your way at Oran Park Raceway. Now, unlike previous rounds where they had 2 long races, this time we have 3 shorter races. This one around about 8 laps. They line up on the grid and order a little different, Luffy.
Well, that's right. I suppose in this position here we've got the finishing order, and we've got Dean Oven taking pole position yet again for his victory. Beside him, Tim Toth, and obviously Giannis Derham, and then Lewis Chan beside him. On the third row back, we've got Shane Walkie, John Lustry, then Peter Floyd, Richard Buttrose, John Bodapick, Phil Dodd, and bring up the final positions.
Peter Foot, Damien Derenovic, Glenn Douglas, and David Jolliffe.
The revs are up, and I tell you what, we've got Mean Dean Oven. He's done a whole shot. He's got the jump, and I tell you what, the first corner here is so critical, and he looks like he's got it covered exceptionally well.
Boy, he's driving away from the field on board in the Steve Jarvin Daewoo of Richard Buttrose. Starting to come down the inside of Peter Floyd in the number 9 machine. On the outside now is Phil Dodd, and a big slide. The tail came right out there. Dodd really getting his act together after a big hit in the wall in the first race.
Well, we saw lots of turn-in understeer and then lots of oversteer. It looks like he got out in the marbles, and the marbles, we mean by that offline, where all the little bits of loose rubber build up, and you get on those little rolly bits of bubble, and I tell you what, next minute you're all over the place. But back on board, this is what it's like, Speed Week viewers, from inside the car. A bit of a relaxed sort of stroke of the forehead or whatever he's doing. But racing is really fantastic, and these little Silhouette 600s provide a very cost-effective way for you armchair couch potatoes to get your backside trackside.
Well, Derhams has moved up to third this time, but Oven still leads them from Toth, and Buttrose has had a much better race this time. Looks like he's up around 5th or 6th. Walkie, our third placer from the first race, has dropped back a little bit on board with Buttrose. Now you see him glancing to the left, obviously someone making the run down the inside there. He's gone in deep under brakes. Has he lost a position? No, he looks safe.
Well, I was very interested in Richard's handling of the steering wheel. He had it at 10 to 2. He had it at 6 o'clock. It looked like he drove very late in and actually locked the brakes and caused him to have huge understeer. But back on with the race leader, Mean Dean Oven, the man from the Central Coast, and he's doing a fantastic job, absolutely pitching this car around. And look at this, we've got cars doing rallycross off in the dirt, and that's the exciting thing about Oran Park. There's lots of action.
Yeah, plenty of runoff in some places anyway. You can get it really wrong though. Coming through, I see there. Oh, big push from Lewis Chan, the front end. It looks like he may have locked it up, and now Buttrose is all over Lewis's tail. Is he able to do anything with it? I think he may have been balked. The revs you can hear on the car were down a little bit. I don't think he's got the speed to get the toe.
Well, have a look at Walkie on the outside. He's going to try the wide approach at the bottom corner. If Buttrose isn't careful, he could have a huge understeer. So Walkie's going to serve this up from the outside. It's 3 into 1. It's anyone's corner. And have a look at this. The action man, Lewis Chan. And as I said, Walkie has got the run. It's a great trick because the next corner's a right-hander. And as I said, Walkie's done the short back and sides on the more experienced Buttrose.
Boy, he's done the big move right round the outside. And as you say, Luffy had the right-hander for the next turn. He's moved forward a place. And Lewis Chan has also been able to make something of this. These two battling. Oh, a bit of a nudge there. Gave him a slight rub, but that was Rubbins racing, isn't it, Luffy?
Well, I think it's called a love tap, isn't it? Sort of very friendly, the Buttrose sort of tap. But Richard will be pretty angry with that. He's sort of a bit of a shake of the head, but hopefully he'll get himself focused and back on with the job.
I reckon Lewis has to go down as Rookie of the Year. Boy, he's driving with his hair on fire these days. He's absolutely throwing everything at the race car, but he certainly can't get that run onto the front straight quite right. That's the second time he's gone in really hot and had the front end push wide. Walkie is actually gaining a bit of speed on him in the number 2 machine, and he's going to try that outside move on him once again.
Well, that's true. Walkie's carrying the Music Shoppers sponsorship on the car, and I tell you what, his plane drops into the hollow down into Momo Corner, and it really gets your attention very much so.
And these cars are a real test of your driving ability because you have to keep them so smooth, and they don't really have a lot of horsepower. You have to keep them smooth and